I've sold over $500,000 worth of gold and silver in the last 6 months from my collective buying club, the Backyard Bullion Buyers, and it's going very well. There has been a bit of a drop though in the last week or two with the collapsing of silver and gold prices, but nevertheless, I have a lot of interesting insights to share with you of what it's actually like to sell £500,000 worth of gold and silver. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and a very warm welcome to you all joining me for another precious metal ramble. Now, at the beginning of the year, I asked two very important questions. Is it possible to beat the dealers when buying and also when selling our gold and silver? And I would like to think that the $500,000 worth of sales that I've made in the last couple of months, that's about £400,000 worth in Great British pounds, would emphatically suggest that yes, it is possible to beat the dealers and cut them out altogether. But it doesn't come without a lot of hard work. And of course, I'm referring to my Backyard Bullion Buyers Club. So if you are relatively new to the channel, or perhaps you don't know and haven't seen, we are able to take gold and silver from you if you are looking to sell and sell it. And if you're a buyer, then you can also just sign up to get notifications when we put things up for sale. And let me tell you, things go very quickly through our Buyers Club, and that's because we price things in a realistic way. So in today's video, I want to share some of the insights that I've learnt over this last couple of months, this 6 months of doing this, what's good, what's bad, what's to be expected, and also in the sort of second part of the video, explain how the whole process works from both a buyer and seller perspective. And if you're interested perhaps in selling, if perhaps right now you're looking to part with some of your gold and silver, which is actually a part of the first topic I want to talk about because we've seen a bit of a dip in the number of inquiries. But anyway, if you're interested in selling, then you can get in touch. Or if you're just interested in buying, then you can send me an email. There's all of the information in the description and the comments of this video. Just email me and I will add you to the newsletter. So, first things first, I have noticed a dip in the number of selling inquiries that have been coming through in the last week. So, on average, I'd say pretty much every week we have something for sale through this buyers club. There are people who get in touch all the time and they will look to part with some of their gold and silver. And there's some regulars that come back every now and again, but generally speaking, I get a pretty good roll of new sellers coming through. But of late, there's been a bit of a dearth of it. There's not been as many. There's still been a couple, don't get me wrong, there's still a few, but they haven't converted into people actually sending me gold and silver to sell yet. So I think that's fascinating. We've seen a big drop in gold and silver prices, and that is indicating to me that people are wanting to stay with their gold and silver and keep it, obviously. Now, that doesn't mean, unfortunately, there aren't people in this world that have to sell some gold and silver. Of course, bills need to be paid, and the whole world of the precious metal markets can be quite vicious when you are looking to sell in a pinch. And your options realistically in a quick turnaround format, there we go, got the capsule off, are to go to a dealer. And often you will get absolutely hosed by the dealers. Now, sometimes you'll get spot price for your silver, sometimes you won't, depending on the dealer, quite frankly. I've even heard stories in this last 6 months of dealers, independent little outfitted dealers that, you know, think they're God's gift to the world, offer way below spot for gold. In fact, one gentleman who sold a little bit of gold through us, he was surprised because originally his quote was about 80% of spot price for a Krugerrand. And we said, no, that's ridiculous. The worst case scenario is I can get you spot price, but I think I can get you 1 or 2% above. So huge swings that dealers can offer. The point here is that if you're in a pinch and you need to look to sell, it might be worth considering looking at our service. I don't often sort of blow my own trumpet, but with 6 months now underneath my belt, I can pretty confidently say, certainly right now with prices where they are, if we got a batch of a monster box of 500 silver Britannias in, they would go within 3 or 4 hours, not even 2 hours probably, via our selling service. There is this huge appetite for people to buy right now. I think that's also borne by the fact that we've got over 750 people currently on our newsletter who are active buyers, who are interested in looking to buy. And there are even people who every time I send out newsletters, they'll come back to me an hour later and go, but hang on, there's nothing for sale. And it's because it sells, my friends. It sells very quick. So the point here is that if you are a seller and you're in a pinch, it's not about sending it to myself and then it waiting around for weeks until we find the right buyer. It's about a quick turnaround sale. And that sort of brings me to the second point about selling, is that the whole point of this service is not to maximize profits for sellers. What I definitely don't want, and what I will continue to enforce, is this understanding that it is very much a service for sellers when they perhaps don't want to take the time themselves to do it. I charge a little bit of a fee for this, and we'll talk about the fees in a moment, but I charge a fee for this, and your returns will most certainly be less than maybe if you did it yourself. But can you do it yourself? I've made videos on that subject many, many times before. It is not easy to sell large quantities of silver and gold. I've just been trying to twist this capsule when I realised that it's not a twist. There we go, we can open this beautiful sovereign. So it is not easy to sell in volume. Certainly if you have no seller profile, no history of sales, it can be difficult. And also there is this element of unrealistic pricing that happens so often. I see it on the Silver Forum and other marketplaces all the time. People see that dealers are selling Britannias for, let's call it £29 an ounce right now. So they go, well, I'm going to offer it at £28 an ounce and undercut the dealers. You're getting a better price. But I still think that £28 an ounce right now for a Britannia is a rip-off. I really do. I think if you're going to buy a Britannia right now through our service, I'd look to be charging about 23 probably, with spot price where it is. It would depend on their condition. If they're milky, it might be a bit lower. If they were perfect, brand new, there might be an extra 25p an ounce in it. But the point is that there are unrealistic pricing mechanisms out there, and there are a lot of sellers that I get inquiries from who say they want to sell their coins at those prices. Just the other day I had a seller looking to sell some premium bullion coins at £40 an ounce, and I'm like, no. They are premium. They would probably go, I'd say, for like £27, £28 an ounce, but £40 an ounce, no. And his rationale was that they're on sale from a dealer for £44 an ounce, so you're still getting a better deal. It's not what it's about. It's about getting the best medium price for everybody involved. Now, in terms of fees, you're looking at £1 an ounce for silver. So if you've got a 10-ounce silver coin like this beautiful completer, it's £10 for my service to sell it. And a lot of people have said to me that that's too cheap. That's an awful lot less than it should be. Well, in many ways it has been quite a cheap service, and that's maybe been part of my success and why I've sold so much of it. But at the end of the day, I think it's a fair rate for what I do. Now, I've changed somewhat how I do things. So if you have 10 individual different coins that you want to sell, that's different for me to sell than one single 10-ounce piece. I have to do 10 times the work. I have to potentially sell it to 10 individual people and wrap 7 individual parcels, etc. So that's obviously not worth it from my perspective. So I'm kind of pushing back a little bit now on the small collections, and I do feel somewhat bad about that, because I know it's not great if you've got like 5 ounces worth and you want to sell them. I mean, it's just not worth my time to take 5 ounces of silver for you, unfortunately. So it's like 20-ounce minimum really is where I'm looking at now. We'll see how that goes over time, but I think that's the way forward from my perspective. Now, in terms of the rest of the selling process, so here it is end to end. Let's go. If you're interested and you're watching still to this point, then perhaps you are interested in finding out more about it. So, from a seller's perspective, what you do, you get in touch with me first. There's no other way to do it than just to email me. Email me going, I have got X, Y, and Z for sale. I will come back and I will give you a realistic price estimate on what I would sell it for through my buyer service. And then I will explain to you what the fees would be and tell you what your net return would be. There's certainly been some confusion from some buyers. I would say to them, well, we can achieve £24.50 an ounce and my fee is £1 an ounce. And a lot of people think that that £24.50 an ounce is after fees. So I've cut out the ambiguity. It's £24.50 an ounce, and then I say that my £1 fee comes out of that, your return is £23.50 an ounce. That's how it goes. So that's pretty much the first stage. If then you are happy to do so, we then give you the address details. You send it to my PO box. I get them. I test the coins. I test every single coin that we get in, and I mean every single coin. If we get a monster box, I get them all onto the Sigma. It takes me time to do that, but I would not do it any other way. I will also have my own expertise and experience of testing coins, looking at coins. We can test things like sovereigns. Things like jewellery, though, we can't do. This Sigma is set up to test coins and bars, basically. Specific types of alloys, 22 carat, 900 gold, etc. So from that perspective, we don't sell jewelry, but that's how we do it. We test everything. Then you would agree the final price if spots changed. I list them for sale. I send out a newsletter to 750 odd people, and then they sell within like a few hours pretty much every single time. Buyers then pay you directly through banks transfers, and then once you've confirmed, we send them out. You've got your money. It's done. Amazing. Fantastic. Now, from a buyer's perspective, it's really incredibly simple. You just sign up to our newsletter if you would like to do so, and there's my email down in the description for that. And then when we've got stock, assuming that it's not just one or two pieces, because sometimes it's not worth sending an email to 750 people for one gold coin that's up for sale, and then it sells within a few minutes, and then 749 other people email me going, but there's nothing in stock. So sometimes it's not always that, but most of the time we send a big email out, and you can buy through our website. You pay through banks transfer. It's the only way that we offer it. We don't offer credit card payments or anything like that. It's the best way to protect the seller and, quite frankly, the buyer as well. So we just do banks transfers. Then you get your coins. Pretty simple. Job done. That's all we can say. It is simple. It's a simple business model, and it's something that I think is really popular and effective at getting the best prices for gold and silver. Now, from my perspective as the seller, I can share some insights on what's good and what's not so good. So Britannias sell like hotcakes. They are the best. If we've got capital gains tax exempt coins, they are also pretty amazing. But also, surprisingly enough, big bars. So if we get bars that are for sale at a decent price, and again, it's about managing the expectations of what pricing mechanisms you might be able to get. You don't get, again, there are people on marketplaces that will put a kilo bar up for sale for £750. Right now, I'd price a kilo bar at £675 or less, depending on its condition and type. It's about getting that right price for the buyer, more so than the seller. We're not here to do that, because otherwise we will just get this influx of people who just want to sell whatever. Now, the last thing I just want to say is that, and if you are watching the 12th minute of this, you must be super interested in the service. We don't offer proof coins as a sale, unless you just want to get like a really low price for them, because the market just isn't there. There's other things I've learned from this service in terms of I've got to, of course, be custodian of the coins, and if they are things like big proof coins that take a long time to sell, then I've got to be custodian of them for a while. So I've got to factor in things like storage, insurance, and various other things. What happens if, God forbid, the worst happens and we're burgled and your coins are stolen? These are personal risks that I take on board myself. And whilst I do have a certain level of insurance for a lot of precious metals, I can't guarantee every single piece for everyone. But that said, I would not ever leave anybody out of pocket. I like to think the worst case scenario happens. If you've sent some monster box in and it gets nicked, we get home invaded or whatever, that I'd do the right thing. I would do the right thing. I know I would do the right thing. Of course I'd do the right thing. But it's still a factor for me to play into, which is why I price things or estimate that people should price things in a certain way. So proof coins is pretty much a no-no, because they would take so much time to sell at a certain price that it's just not worth the risk for me to do. The vast majority of the silver and gold that I get in, of course, is turned around within 24 hours. Sometimes the same day, I'll have it listed, sold, and in the post literally the same day. So there's very minimal levels of risk from my perspective. But it's something to factor in. So there we have my Buyers Club. I do want to keep calling it the Backyard Bullion Buyers Club, because I like to think, as I've said, it's more of a focus on getting the right buying price for sellers rather than the right selling price for sellers. So I think it's got a lot of legs, and I think we're going to see it continue to thrive. Now, of course, I could be completely wrong. We could be seeing the imploding of this service. That's probably a distasteful word considering the news this week of the Titanic sub. We might be seeing a slowing down of the service considering the prices have gone down. But ironically, this is one of those moments where the buyers will be most active. They will want to buy things very quickly. So I guess if you are in a pinch, or if you're looking to change up some of your investments, perhaps moving from silver into gold, and you want to get a better price than selling through a dealer, then just get in touch. My email is byb@backyardbullion.com. All of that's linked in the description box below. And maybe by the end of the year, we can have sold nearly $1 million worth. I'm saying it's funny, isn't it? Because the dollar to pound ratio is such that £400,000 worth of sales is about $500,000. And it sounds so much better to say £500,000 worth than it does, or $500,000 worth than £400,000 worth. But either way, it's still, I think, a pretty incredible achievement to have collectively sold that much. And we're certainly making an impact within the second-hand market here in the United Kingdom. I know for a fact that there are a few independent traders that are losing out to this service, in that they are not being able now to fleece their customers for ridiculously cheap prices. And even if we just eliminate one or two of those, real piss takers in the market, that's a good thing, isn't it? That's a really good thing. So anyway, that is my Backyard Bullion Ramblers. Thank you very much for sticking around to the end of the video if you have. That's it. We'll see you on the next one. As always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.